I wasn't meant to hear it. Her voice slipped through the half-shut door, low, cutting, venom disguised as strategy. Tomorrow, the warehouse. Make it look like an accident. He won't resist. He's weak. That word, weak, seared through me like acid. I stood frozen in the hallway, hand hovering near the knob, my chest both hollow and pounding at once. My wife, the woman who had laid her head against me for 10 years, whispering about trust and safety. The woman I thought was my anchor. And yet, there she was, conspiring with her father to destroy me. What she never knew, what I had buried under calm smiles and steady hands, was who I once had been. My years in Black Ops had shaped me into something patient, silent, dangerous. And the warehouse she mentioned? It wasn't just a storage site. It was a snare, designed for predators who believed they were hunters, never realizing they were already trapped. I pressed my back against the wall, breath shallow, hand trembling only once before I forced it still. So this was loyalty. This was marriage. Betrayal whispered through a phone. Tomorrow, the mask would slip. Her words echoed in my head long after the call ended. Every syllable cracked something inside me. Weak. She believed she had taken my measure. A man tied to routines, paperwork, and the quiet sighs of domestic life. She never wondered why I never raised my voice, why panic never touched me, why I seemed prepared for anything. It wasn't serenity. It was training. I had hidden that part of myself when I laid down my rifle, convinced I could build a quieter life, one free of shadows. But shadows never leave. They cling to the skin. Her father had always despised me. He saw silence as fear, stillness as fragility. That miscalculation would cost him dearly. I went downstairs, poured a glass of water, and sat across from her at the kitchen table. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile rehearsed in a mirror. I watched her lips, picturing them still stained with the word weak. "You okay?" she asked. "Fine," I replied. My face revealed nothing. My voice betrayed nothing. But inside, silence hardened into precision. Not fury that bursts. It was rage that waits. That night, I gathered old tools. Not weapons, but information. I pulled her phone records, her father's company filings, strings of numbers and messages she thought erased. By dawn, the puzzle was complete. Payments, transfers, assets stripped of my name. Her father had promised her freedom, control, a life without me, at my expense. I studied her while she brewed coffee, humming softly. She moved casually, but her eyes darted to her phone too often, restless, waiting for a sign. I said nothing, just played the role of husband, the background she believed I was. Every step she took only hammered her coffin shut. By evening, I dialed one number, secure, old, never forgotten. A professional voice answered. I gave coordinates. A time. That was enough. The trap was no longer hypothetical. It was ready, and she had already stepped inside. The following night, I led her to the warehouse myself. She framed it as her idea. "Let's check on the place," she said lightly, testing to see if I'd object. I didn't. Inside, the air was sharp with cold. Generators hummed. Shadows stretched across steel beams. She lingered, scanning, waiting. Then headlights split the dark. Black vehicles rolled in. Her father's men, she thought. Confidence dripped from their silence. But when the doors opened, it wasn't her father's soldiers. It was mine. Old comrades. Men she had never seen. Men who had seen me at my most ruthless. They didn't owe me anything, yet they answered when I called. Her face drained, lips parting in shock. "What?" I met her gaze. No heat, no fury. Only truth. "You thought I was weak," I said. She shook her head, stammering excuses about her father twisting everything. But the words rang hollow. The game was already over. Her father was dragged forward, wrists bound, face red with rage. "You bastard," he roared. I didn't acknowledge him. My eyes stayed on her. "My wife," I said evenly, the woman who believed she could write my ending. I handed her the papers. Her secret accounts, transfers, proof of betrayal spelled in ink. Her hands shook as she scanned them, lips moving silently. I built this warehouse. I whispered, for enemies, for traitors. Never thought I'd bring you here. Her knees gave out. She crumpled onto the floor, paper scattering like shattered promises. Her father screamed curses until one of my men silenced him with a single blow. She reached toward me, a pleading gesture, but I didn't move. That was my final mercy. I left her there, with her father, with her lies, with the evidence of her treachery in her trembling hands. No dramatic goodbye, no words of closure, only silence. As I stepped into night air, the weight lifted, not gently, but like a rope snapping clean. Marriage, love, trust, they were illusions, thin layers that dissolve under pressure, leaving only truth. And truth is merciless. She wanted me erased. Instead, I erased the man who had once believed her smile. My past had clawed its way back to the surface, and I welcomed it without hesitation, because weakness was never mine. It was hers, and for the first time in 10 years, I felt alive.